Happy Vlogmas! You guys, we have about a week left. Yes, I can't believe it. A week left. We are almost finished with Vlogmas, and today's video is quite special because Dawn and I have decided to join forces and talk about our ethnicity and ethnic traditions during Christmas. So, if you want to hear about my ethnic traditions during Christmas time, stick around. Okay guys, so before I get started, I do want to give some of my new subscribers a little bit of a background about my ethnicity. And most of you already know I am Greek American, first generation Greek American. My mom is American and my father is Greek. My father is from a town called Katoachaia near Patra, and Patra is in the western part of Greece near the Peloponnese area, the Gulf of Patra. So probably 30 minutes from Patra. So just to give you a little idea, the Athens area, okay, so if you fly into Greece and you're in Athens, the Peloponnese or the Patra and Katoachaia little town is all the way across on the other side of Greece. And I would say from Athens, it takes about 2.5 hours. I think a 2.5 hour drive to 3 hour drive, depending on stops and things like that, to get on the other side. My father is from a little small town called Achaia, and really it's not that small anymore. He used to call it the old country, because still their traditions are very rooted, very deeply rooted Greek traditions. Now, if you're in Athens, of course there are Greek traditions, but it is very metropolitan, like lots of different nationalities, you know, anything you could think of is in Athens. But really where my father is from, it still is just the old world Greece. There are gypsies, gypsy camps, and my father used to call my sister and I little gypsy Greeks because where he's from and his family is from, they're everywhere even today. So it is on, if you've ever been to Greece, it's on the western side all the way across, practically a straight shot, you guys. So when we're in Greece, we do rent a car and we drive, and I would say yes, probably 2 to 3 hours, or over 2 hours rather. But it is a beautiful area surrounded by the Mediterranean and the Peloponnese Peninsula, and I absolutely love that area of Greece because it is so richly rooted in the Greek tradition. And also, Achaia or Patra is quite close. I'm not really sure how far it is to Olympia. So you guys have all heard of Olympia, where the Olympic Games took place. And we went there. Was it the last time we were in Greece or the time before? But we've been there. It's a very historic and beautiful area. So just to give you a little, I guess, geography lesson, it's also near Sparta and Kalamata. So it's that area of Greece. Just to put it simply, Western Greece, other side of Athens. So that's where my father's from. My family still lives there now. I have actually so many family members that live there in Patra and Achaia. I have family members that live in Athens. You guys, we're just all over the place. But my father came to America and made a name for himself. He really did. And my father's passed away now. He's been gone for many years, but he's still very much alive in my heart. The Greek culture is very much alive within me. I love Greece. I love my ethnic background and their traditions. And, you know, Keith, of course, is not Greek, and he wasn't really used to anything in the way of our traditions. So really, he took to it very naturally, you guys. He loves my family. They love him. And I love the way they say his name, Keith. Keith. They like really put an emphasis on the TH, Keith. And we have been there many times together, and we haven't been in a while. We haven't been in probably 5 years. I know 5 years because Molly Kate was about to be born, and she hasn't been 5 very long. So yeah, you guys, I'm hoping to go back this year and It's just been too long. But anyway, you guys, growing up as a first-generation Greek American, we did have many Greek traditions within our home. My father was a very strong personality, although he did want to live the American life and the American dream. He still did instill many Greek traditions and values within my sister and I. So, of course, he named us Greek names. And, you know, when I was younger, especially when we moved here, it was really difficult because there are no Greeks here. There was no one back then really that really understood my background. We had a lot of Greek traditions, as I said, within our home. So when it comes to Christmas, we basically did the same thing that everybody else did, with exception of a few things. So really, Greek Easter is really the biggest Greek holiday, the biggest traditions within the Greek culture, because Easter is huge. But when it comes to just traditions, Greek traditions, really, we didn't do much of that. We just did the same thing that all the other kids here in Alabama did. And also, even when we lived in Detroit, we never really did anything any different than anybody else. And I told Dawn that, but I do have a wonderful story to tell about my dad when we lived in Detroit. I'll tell you about some Greek pastries and cookies and things that we have always loved and enjoyed within our family. Okay, so for Christmas and Easter, we make koulourakia. So they are butter cookies, or a lot of people call them Greek wedding cookies or Greek Easter cookies, because actually it's a cookie that we enjoy during holiday season, but from time to time I will crave them. And you guys, even though I'm not a cook, I can bake some desserts, so I'm pretty good at making the Greek cookie koulourakia. Wonderful with coffee. They're not very sweet. I like to make mine with lemon zest. I really do hope to make those this week. I just can't promise because there's some things coming up with my mom this week, and we're having family come down from Washington, from DC, and I just don't know what all's going to be going on, or if I'm going to have the girls, things like that. So they're very time consuming, but they're quite simple to make, and they are absolutely delicious. They melt in your mouth, so I do hope to make some koulourakia, and I will do that very soon. But the Greek dessert that my dad would make us was risogalo. And risogalo is rice pudding. It's kind of a custard. There's rice in there with cinnamon on top. You guys, it's fabulous. If you ever go to a Greek restaurant, definitely order risogalo for dessert. I love it. Don't get it mixed up with galaktoboudiko, which Keith calls Galacta Booty Call. I had to throw a little humor in there. But that's just like a custard or a creme brulee or something like that. But the risogalo has always been my absolute favorite dessert. And that is what my dad would make. Big tubs of it. And I think that when we moved here, he probably did try it in our restaurant. Although back then, it was very different than it is now, but back then, you know, people just weren't used to things like that. That was what I remember that my dad made, and it was fabulous. But the Greek pastries and things like that have always been something that I love and I've enjoyed. But the risogalo, you guys, you have to try it. Is what my dad would make. But anyway, we didn't really do anything Greek or have Greek traditions in our home other than have lamb and souvlaki and, you know, just Greek food. That was about it. We just got our presents like all the other kids, and that was about it. But I do have a hilarious story to tell, and some of you may know this story because I may have told this before. My dad worked downtown in Detroit, and he was a head chef, and back then my dad was very, very dark, very black hair with a black mustache, and we were very young, and he decides to dress up like Santa Claus, okay? So it was really hard to hide his features behind the Santa Claus costume. So he had the whole thing, you guys. The way I remember it, he had the whole costume. He had a bag with these two really weird looking dolls inside. And I kept my doll for years, you guys. It was just this, I don't know what it was called. I've never seen anything like it. But I remember he had these strange dolls with these pointy hoods on top. And my sister and I would make them walk by holding their pointy hats. But anyway, that's beside the point. My dad came home with a bag full of goodies with those dolls inside, with a Santa Claus outfit, and I guess he and my mom coordinated the whole thing. She had us all excited that Santa Claus was coming. When he came, you guys, he didn't come down the chimney. Oh no, he did not. He came through the front door of our home. And he had an accent. Ho, 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 little girl. Hello, Panayota. You've been a very good girl. I was like... And I was about 5. My sister, or Little Blister, she was too young to realize that something wasn't quite right here, you guys. Because in the first place, I've never imagined Santa Claus having brown skin. I've never imagined Santa Claus having beady black eyes. Imagined Santa Claus having a black mustache peeking through this bushy looking white fur, you guys. Something wasn't right, okay? And that wasn't all of it. And that's not what really got me at the age of 5. I had no idea that Santa Claus had a Greek accent. That's where he went wrong. And, you know, he was pronouncing my name the correct Greek way, speaking in an accent, being so excited, and I was not impressed. He took the whole fantasy, the whole magic out of Christmas for me, you guys, at a very young age. I mean, I tried to play it up with my kids until they were about 11 or 12, and I think that my kids, they wanted to believe. And kids, even when my kids were young, I think kids were maybe more naive than they are now. But my kids would try to pretend they believed if they really didn't. I did not believe. Okay, after that, every Santa I ever saw on any street corner in Detroit or in the mall or anywhere we went, I knew that it wasn't really Santa, you guys. You just can't, you know, I think back then I had an artist eye. I could spot it. But it was that Greek accent, that Panayota, come here. Oh, you've been a very good girl. You guys, I just didn't fall for it. And after that, I never believed again. I never believed again. So, that's one of my stories. And then I have another story. I told Dawn, I said, we didn't really have very many Greek traditions other than desserts and Greek food. But I wanted to tell these stories, and there's another one. After we moved here from Detroit, my parents opened a restaurant. They were so busy, and they didn't put up a Christmas tree or anything like that in our home because we had a Christmas tree at the restaurant. Of course, they're not going to put our presents under the Christmas tree at the restaurant, but you know how it is before Christmas. There's presents under the tree, and you get to look at them and shake them and wonder what's inside, you know. But those are the presents from your parents. And that's what I always tell my kids. The Santa Claus presents actually come on Christmas Eve. But we didn't have a tree. And I guess my mom had been buying us things and putting them in the trunk of her car. Well, that's what she told us, which was true. But she had moved them from the trunk of the car into the house. But she told us that Santa Claus put our presents in the trunk of the car, which, you know, I didn't really believe, but I was playing along because my sister did. Because, you know, the whole Greek Santa thing threw me off, but she was so young. So she really thought that our presents were in the trunk of the car because we had moved here, you know. We went to the trunk of the car. My mom opens up the trunk. I'm so excited to see what all's in there, and there's nothing in there but an old tire. A dirty old tire. And my mom played a trick on us and said, somebody has stolen your Christmas presents. That was just my mom, you guys. She loved to scare us. And I think that's where I got it. I love to scare my kids and my grandkids. She said, somebody has stolen these presents out of the trunk of my car. And she was so convincing, you guys. I believed her. I couldn't believe it. I was crying, you guys. I was such a drama queen. I'm glad all that's gone now. But anyway, I was such a drama queen. I was just crying my eyeballs out. And when we went in the house, she had them spread all over the place. And it was a Merry Christmas after all. Because, you know, as a kid, you know, you don't really think of the true meaning of Christmas. I mean, you hear about the true meaning of Christmas, the birth of Jesus, but, you know, or we did in our family, but still, when you're a kid, you just want your stuff. You just want your loot from Santa or from your parents. Because I knew better. I was playing along for a little blister, okay? But that is something that she really got me, you guys, because I was crying my little eyeballs out until we finally went in the house and there was our loot all over the place. So I told Dawn, I said, I'm just going to share some funny stories. Alright guys, so that's all of my video. Do go over and check out the Italian stallion known as Dawn Loves Couture and hear about her Italian traditions. I want to leave you with Kala, Cristo Jena, Saga Popoli. Yes, Merry Christmas in Greek. I love you all so much. I'll see you in another video on another day. Peace.